I'm going to be sharing with you guys 20 books that you guys need to read this winter. All these are like lots of cozy reads and books that I know that you guys will love. I'm going to share with you guys 9 books that I've read first, and then I'm going to share 11 books that I want to read this winter. Lots of thrillers are in this video, so make sure you guys are subscribed because there's new videos every single day for all of Bookmas. So let's get into the books that I've read first. The first book that I think is great for winter is The Way I Used to Be. This is a really good book about a girl who has went through like a really traumatic experience, and it talks about like how she works through that. This is actually YA, but I think that this book is really, it doesn't even feel like YA because it's so deep. On the back it says, I want to get as far away from the past as possible, be as different from that girl as I can be. And the second book in this little like series actually just came out, and I cannot wait to read it. I already picked it up, but this is a really good book for the winter. I feel like in the winter I like to read romances that are really like deep, or read books that are gonna like make me cry and feel some type of like emotional pull to them. And then thrillers, obviously thrillers are just great for winter. I'm starting off with like the romance slash like just emotional reads first before I get into the thrillers. In This Moment by Kayla Shawn is a book that only has like, I want to say 500 ratings on Goodreads, but I love this one. This is about a girl who she like really wants to own her own business, and she's trying to get artifacts for this like really rich guy because like that's her job. She gets like artifacts for different people, like just really unique artifacts. And one of the artifacts that she needs to get is from this guy who literally does not want to give them up. He was like, I'm sorry, it's not happening. And she's like, I'll do anything. And he's like, anything? Okay. So he kind of makes like a little deal with her that he'll give her the artifacts if she like does these certain things. And on the back it says, love in all its forms is a foreign concept to Garen Taylor. And it just is a book that I feel like will get you really emotional and will pull at your heartstrings. It talks a lot about like opening yourself up even when you're afraid and letting people in. And I think that that's a good one. A book that is one of my absolute favorites, and the second book actually comes out next year. It's called If You Had Been With Me by Laura Nolan, and I rated this 5 stars. Love this book so much. I think that this book is such an incredible story of just like finding yourself and story of love. There's so many like emotional things in this book, but I think if you had a tough like high school experience or maybe even middle school experience, I think you will really like this book. It's about 2 best friends, they're neighbors, and they both have to like, I don't want to say they have to, but like they both are in different circles. Like one of them is a little quirky and then one of them is like popular. And so they like don't really talk to each other at school at all, but you can tell that they definitely care for each other because obviously they're neighbors and grew up together. And on the back it says, if he had been with me, everything would have been different. And it actually starts with a very catastrophic event, and you kind of see like what leads up to that event. So very good book. And I think it really taught me that like, I don't know, like you never know what the future is gonna hold, and you should just definitely like connect with people no matter whether they seem like quirky or they're not in the same like group as you, or people don't think they're cool. I just think that this is such a good book, and this is again a YA, so I feel like you can get through really fast. Another book that is fast is the book called Fast by Millie Belizaire. I rated this 4.5 out of 5 stars, and the only reason I didn't rate it 5 stars is because I just didn't get that 5-star feeling, and I don't really think I'll come back to this book again, which is like a stipulation I always have for 5-star reads. Like I have to need to read it again, and I just didn't get that feeling with it, but it is so good, and it's one of my most highly recommended books, and I've actually thought about like maybe going back and rating this 5 stars, but again, I didn't get that feeling. I feel like you know when it's 5 stars, but this was right there. I don't do like 4.8 or 4.9 or anything like that. I just do like 4.5, 4, 3.5, 3, because I think sometimes it gets too nitty gritty when it's like, it's a 4.2, like, you know what I mean? But if I had to pick what this would be rated, it would be like a 4.8 or something like that. But again, I just don't really use those ratings because I feel like it's too confusing. Love this book so much. It talks about like these 2 characters who were friends their entire lives, and you guys know I love a friends to lovers story. They're friends their entire lives, and it starts at the age of 12, and Capri like goes through so much throughout her entire life, and you just see like how she struggles through it, but she also has this person that she's been connected with her whole life and really cares about him. And it is just a story, I think, about a story about healing, but also opening up to people and letting people in. Now let's get into some of the thrillers I've read. Behind Closed Doors is a thriller that will have you on the edge of your seat. I was so freaking nervous during this entire book. It's about Jack and Grace, and they pretty much have this perfect looking relationship, but it's definitely not perfect by any means, but it looks like it's perfect. And you see as you read how crazy their relationship actually is, and how people might call it true love, but they got some mess. I love that. That's by B.A. Paris. And then Rock, Paper, Scissors by Alice Feeney is a book that I think a lot of people would love to read in the winter, because it is set whenever they're in a secluded house and it's snowing. There's a whole snowstorm outside, and the husband in this book has face blindness, so that's something that they've had to work through their entire relationships, but they go on this little retreat so that they can rekindle their romance. But it says, think you know the person you married? Think again. So there's a lot of stuff that happens in this little closed off vacation that they have. It says 10 years of marriage, 10 years of secrets, and an anniversary they will never forget. This is one of my favorite thrillers, and I think it's one of the most not hyped up thrillers. I don't really hear people talking about this book. I can't share too much about it, but it's about Marissa and Matthew, and both of them go get counseling because they've struggled in their marriage a lot, and the counselor they go to has such a weird way of counseling people. She has just a very, very unique set of skills that she I don't want to say skills, but a unique pattern of counseling for people and therapy, and it is an interesting one. I really enjoyed this one, and it's one that I talk about all the time, but I don't really hear people talk about. And this is by Greer Hendricks and Sarah Pekkanen. And then The Last Word by Taylor Adams was a book that had me so nervous I almost couldn't finish it. It is one of those thrillers that you'll just be oh my gosh, the whole time. It's about a girl who writes a bad review on this book online, we all do, Goodreads and stuff. She just gives a bad review and was I don't like this book. And the person who wrote the book is take that down, take it down now. And she's no, I'm not taking it down. And so then all these strange things start happening around her house, and you're kind of is that the author? Did they come for her? Is something else happening? It is so, so good. Again, it did make me so nervous, and I couldn't read it at night, but I really loved it. And I am kind of a little baby when it comes to thrillers. Then Never Lie by Frida McFadden. Frida McFadden is one of my favorite thriller authors, and Never Lie I think is one of my favorite books written by her so far. It says newlyweds Trisha and Ethan are searching for the house of their dreams, and they come upon this house, and it's very remote. And while they're there, they end up finding, I want to make sure that I'm not yeah, not spoiling anything. They find these cassette tapes, and Trisha, who is the newlywed, she ends up listening to these tapes, and it's from their audio transcripts of every single patient that the psychiatrist has had, and just weird things start happening. It is a wild ride. There is a horrible truth that is revealed on the final cassette, and I was just whoa, this is wild. All of Frida McFadden's books are so good, and Frida McFadden actually works with people who have brain trauma, and so she writes books for her patients, actually in real life she does that. So she writes books for her patients, so she wants them to be quick, she wants them to keep you interested. So these are great popcorn thrillers for someone who wants to get into a quick easy thriller. This is the one. Now let's get into the 11 books that I haven't read that I want to read. I don't even know a lot of the storylines behind these, so we're gonna kind of learn some of these together, but also some of these I kind of want to go into blind. A Love Letter to Whiskey by Candy Snyder is a book I've wanted to read for so long, and I feel winter for me is when I get those thicker reads out. I get the reads out that are supposed to be really heartfelt, and it just looks like it's a good one. It says, I saw him first, but it didn't matter because he saw her. He was my best friend and I was his. We couldn't be together, but we couldn't stand to be apart. If you're not true lovers, but you're so much more than friends, what exactly are you? I mean, that alone is oh, I need to read it. And then I also have Consider Me by Becca Mack. This is a hockey romance. It says Carter Beckett is the NHL's resident bad boy, and it's a bad boy hockey player, and it just looks like a really good book. I don't even know what it is actually about. I want to say he has a friends with benefits situation with a girl, but then I think they start to feel for each other. I think. I could be totally wrong. It says, there's a lot of stuff in the back. I don't really want to read through the whole thing. But it looks really good. It says, I have no intention of falling for his charm, because he's like an arrogant guy. I have a solution to all my sexual frustrations in a drawer at home, and it's far less complicated than Carter Beckett. Sure, he may be pretty, but he's also a walking, talking reminder for you to wrap it up before you tap it. But then I start letting my guard down, and he starts showing me pieces of himself I had no intention of seeing. Oh, it says the bricks surrounding me may be tumbling down one by one, but I'm not sold yet, which means for the first time in his life, Carter's the one begging. We love a man who begs. It says, for my time, my trust, for a single chance for me to just consider him. I love this, and this is also in the Playing for Keeps series, so I think it goes into a whole series. This is by Brittany Cherry. I have not read anything by her, but she's a Black author that so many people rave about, and this is called The Coldest Winter. It says, I didn't know he was forbidden until after our one-night stand. I met Milo during his self-destruction era, and he met me at the beginning of mine. That night, we crossed paths at a college party. We only had one goal, to feel good during our hellstorms. After we parted ways, I planned never to see him again. That was until I showed up for my first day as a student teacher and found him sitting right there before me. Oh, now I was forced to cross paths with the person meant to be nothing more than a fading memory. The more time we spent together, the more drawn I felt toward him. When his world shifted for the worst, I couldn't help but lean in closer. I'd always done the right thing. For the first time ever, I wanted to do something very wrong. I wanted to fall in love with the one person who's off limits. The problem with falling for something forbidden, once you begin to descend, you are destined to crash and burn. So she's his college teacher. Oh my gosh. Wow. This looks good. This looks so good. I also picked up Credence in this pile because this looks like a winter book. It literally looks like a winter book, and I don't know what this is about, but I've heard that this is wild. Andrea is a booktuber who I've talked about so much. She just started her channel, and she read this and told me to read it. I don't even know what this is about, but it looks like it's a wild ride. So many people have said that this story is crazy. So yeah, we're gonna read it. I don't even know what it's about. I literally don't have a synopsis or anything, but we're gonna read it. Also from Luke Off with Love by Mariana Zapata will be my first Mariana Zapata book. She does slow burns so well, and this is about a figure skater, I'm pretty sure. And I feel like this is perfect for winter. It's literally giving winter vibes with the cover. And is also super thick. That's the only reason I haven't read anything from her. But if you like to read books that are slow burn, I've heard that her books are the best slow burns ever. And let's get into the thrillers now. And There He Kept Her is a book that looks good. It says, they thought he was a helpless old man. They were wrong. And it looks like two teenagers, they break into a house on a remote lake, and they end up finding secrets that are there. It says Emmett Burr has secrets he's been keeping in his basement for 2 decades, and he'll do anything to keep his past from being revealed. 2 decades? And it looks like a really good thriller. Another thriller that has a ton of good reviews but doesn't have a ton of them in comparison to other thrillers is The Daughter. It says, you lost your daughter, you will never forgive yourself, and now someone wants to make you pay. And it says, this heartbreaking and unputdownable psychological thriller that will keep you guessing right until the end. I thought that this would be a really good book, but it's also a really quick read. I also am really weird, but I love when thrillers have white pages on them. I don't know what it is about me. I feel like I read white pages faster. And yeah, I just cannot wait to read this one. On a Quiet Street by Serafina Nova Glass looks like a good one. It says the perfect neighborhood can be the perfect place to hide. When you really start to look beyond the airy open floor plans and marble counters, Brighton Hills is filled with secrets. Some big, some little, some deadly, and one by one they're about to be revealed. And I'm pretty sure this is written by a Black woman as well. So I feel like this will be a good one. I love thrillers that are diverse. I love thrillers that have towns that are kind of just tons of crazy stuff happens and you're finding out all these secrets and they're all unraveling. I feel like this book is giving that. Take It Back by Kia Abdullah is a book that is all about a girl who I think she accuses 4 guys of a horrific crime, and you don't really know if she's telling the truth or not, You don't know if the 4 guys are telling the truth or if the girl is telling the truth. And it says, as issues of sex, race, and social justice collide, the most explosive criminal trial of the year builds to a shocking conclusion. Obviously, this isn't real, but she does a great job of writing thrillers that are set in a courtroom. Never read anything from her, but I definitely want to. And then In a Dark Wood by Ruth Ware is a book I have never read, and I don't hear people talking about it, but it, I think, was turned into a movie. And it was also a New York Times bestseller. And on the front it says, you'll find it almost impossible to put down. You'll find it almost impossible to put this twisting, electrifying debut down. And Ruth Ware has written so many books, but I guess this was Ruth Ware's first book. And I just thought this would be a good one to read because it literally is giving winter on the front. Like, this looks so cold. And I don't even know what it's about. It says so many different things on the back. It says, read the book now before bed at your own risk. Oh my gosh, all of these, read it on a dark and stormy night with all the lights on. Is this scary? It says, it packs a nourishing punch that will make the queen of crime herself proud. Just try to guess how sinister this plot can get. Hint, very. Wow, this looks like it's gonna be a good book if I just like all the blurbs. And then another book that I picked up is called Behind Her Eyes by Sarah Pinborough, and this is actually a Netflix series. It says, Louise, a single mom and secretary, is deeply embarrassed when she discovers that the man who sweet-talked and kissed her in the bar on a rare night is her new boss. David and Adele, new to town, her new boss, David, and Adele, new to town and lonely, who invited Louise for coffee after they bumped into each other on the street. Adele is David's wife. From the outside, David and Adele look like a picture-perfect husband and wife, but then why is David so controlling and why is Adele so scared? As Louise is drawn further into David and Adele's orbit, she uncovers more puzzling questions. The only thing that is crystal clear is that something in this marriage is very, very wrong, but Louise can't guess how wrong or how far a person might go to protect their marriage's secrets. And that is all the 20 book recommendations that I feel like you guys will love. Tons of thrillers and tons of romances that are all just gonna like pull your heartstrings, and I feel like these are just literally the perfect books to set off the winter season. So make sure you subscribe because there's new videos every single day, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye guys!